How do you do that? I'll give them a lot of exercise to work through that. Subtract fear. Fear is a real strong element in students not being able to do math. They're afraid of, because mainly they're afraid of the symbols.
Yes.
They're afraid of the symbols because when they see a symbol, they are afraid they don't know what it is and they don't know what to do with it and they don't understand it. So I met one of my little students.
When you say symbols, what do you
any symbol. Sigma for sum or integral, integration symbol. Whatever.
A word like integral, you know, that's tough.
And when you put that integration symbol up there, they go, oh, what is that? And so the students are afraid because they don't know what they can't get sometimes the symbols, and even simple concepts, much simpler concepts. For example, a little girl told me, she said, Dr. Johnson, confidently, whenever a person says decimals, I get so afraid.
Right, sure.
So that fear is deeply embedded in the students, and one of the reasons I believe, from interviewing hundreds of students, I believe the fear is there because early years, when they were given a problem and they gave an answer and the teacher didn't stop to figure out how they got to that answer, but said wrong. And when they get too many of those wrongs, you're wrong, a big X is on their paper, then they say, well, I just can't learn that. And then some students, in my interviews with students, say the teachers told them, whatever you do, stay away from math because you can't learn it. And so they know that early years, that's early years, right? They're not encouraged. And so this approach that many students have gone through has created a lot of fear. Now, an approach that will help students develop confidence is to interview them. A minute ago I mentioned interview, is to interview the students to see how they're thinking, because the student may get a wrong answer but have a logical sequence of thought, but maybe a wrong hypothesis.
Oh, I see.
So, but the teacher doesn't know this when they see the wrong answer.
Right.
So they say X, wrong. And they don't have time to go back and check to see why you got that.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. There's no follow-up associated with the mark.
Right.
The wrong answer.
Right.
Why was I wrong?
Right.
You know.
And sometimes it's because
the teacher, she has 40 in the class.
That's what I was going to say.
They don't want to go through each one.
The class size prohibits. A teacher cannot possibly do the kind of analysis that's necessary on every problem a student misses. She just can't do it. He or she can't do it. And, you know, I have the Math Center, Success Learning Math Center, and I tutor students from grades K on through graduate school. But what I have to do there is really help the students understand why they're getting problems wrong.
Oh, great.
And once you see that, then you can help them. But some teachers, students report to me, I don't know, I don't go to all the classrooms, I don't even try to interact with the teachers, never have. What I do is work with the student.
Okay.
And they come in with all kinds of criticism. No, this is not about your teacher.
I'm sure.
This is not about your teacher. What I'm about is helping you learn this, okay? That's my job.
Okay.
Your teacher cannot sit with you side by side the way I do. I sit side by side with my students. I never sit in front of them. I never stand over them. I sit side by side, and I talk to them in a very calm, peaceful manner.
All right.
And they're not accustomed to that. With math, it's a lot of fanfare and all that. But it's very calm, very peaceful. I'm never disturbed if the answer is so ridiculous that you just can't hold it back sometimes. I never show any sign of disgust with them or anything. And so that helps them to relax. And the students say, when you work with me, I get relaxed. I get relaxed.
Yeah, they feel comfortable.
And then they can think. Okay. Then they can think.
Right. Let's move on to this the child book that you have, Successful Living. Tell us a little bit about that. That's a special dedicated program that you have there.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
This whole program,
tell us about it.
U.S. Special Children Ministry, is a nonprofit ministry that I have for children. And it may not seem connected, but it's connected to math because the Math Center, because in working with the math students in the Math Center, parents constantly reported to me, since my child's been come to the Math Center, I don't have any problems at home anymore. And I said, this sounds like a commercial. They say, well, I'm not saying a commercial, but they say, I don't have, he helps me with the dishes. He helps do this. He's more pleasant to deal with. So I could see a relationship between that, helping the child. So the book, You're Special.
Living, yeah.
You're Special, A Child's Guide for Successful Living, helps students to learn the laws of living. Just like there are laws of algebra,
like
there are laws of living. Yes.
Putting out the garbage.
Yes, the laws in the house.
Right.
They have to learn the laws in the house.
Right.
Once they understand those laws in the house, if you don't do it, there are consequences. And they have to learn the laws that God has given us in His book, the Bible, the Ten Commandments. So the Ten Commandments is a way to help students learn how to live, and when they don't follow these commandments, when they violate the laws, of course there are consequences, but we also help them to understand that they are forgiven. They can be forgiven through Jesus Christ.
You know, when I was coming up, the consequence was like a backhand. If you don't take that garbage out,
yes, yes, that's true.
I knew that was coming next
true.
when I asked to do something.
That's
but
true.
The uniqueness in which you getting young people to respond positively to their parents in the home.
Yes, and see, that carries over to the school. Then they're in a position to learn. If you can get the students to really realize how special they are, and they learn how to follow the rules at home.
Right.
Then when they go to school, they can learn how to follow the rules at school. My mother was an evangelist. And
that book is dedicated to you.
It's dedicated to my mother.
To your mother, right.
Yes,
that's what I wanted you to tell us.
Evangelist Mercio F. Hill, who taught me these principles at an early age. And I could see, when I look back at my life, I said, oh, I can see. I learned how to follow the rules at home.
Right.
And then
that's what a lot of kids need to do, is follow the rules at home. Because, and using the 10th Commandments as a guide is just wonderful. It's a beautiful concept because it works both ways.
Yes, and it goes throughout life with them.
Right.
Throughout life. They never stop learning them.
And anyone really interested, you can go to the website, phone number. I think Dr. Mary Johnson here has a unique way with mathematics and working with the kids on those home rules. I said them home rules really got to go. What we're going to do, we're going to jump over into this evolutionary elder here, Dr. Eugene Williams, and tell us a little bit more about Martin Luther King.
Oh, yes.
Martin Luther King's birthday is coming up, and just give us that piece that you had there, that book. Tell us about it.
I'm inspired by the life of the Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. And because I was inspired by him, and because my students at Annapolis Road Academy in Bladensburg, Maryland, were inspired, I decided to do a book on him, Words Cross and Across, Word Search on Barack Obama. I'll tell you, Ed, there's no book like it. It is a word search book, but it's more than a word search book. Because not only do the students find words, but they learn the meanings of words. Once when I was teaching the I Have a Dream speech, my students did not know the definitions of words. They did not know how to pronounce many of the words. And I said to my students, we have a problem. And one little fella in the back of the classroom raised his hand and said, yes, Dr. Williams, we do have a problem. But how about teaching us those words in the I Have a Dream speech using word searches? And I thought, wow, that's a great suggestion. And I decided to do this book. I've done a book on Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., which will be out soon. And I've also done a book on President Barack Obama. Words Cross and Across, Word Search on Barack Obama. And it is really, really helping students. I shared this book with this phenomenal woman sitting next to me. And after she liked it, I knew it was all right.
It passed the test.
It passed the test. Yes, yes.
Right.
So that's the book, and I want everyone out here to get the book, because I was in the library, the Kettering Library, a couple of evenings ago, looking at books on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I looked at the books for children. I also looked at the books for adults, and not one of those books is like Words Crossing Across, Word Search on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
He said words crossing across and word search. Now, give us an idea of basically, how did you develop that system?
Well, the first thing is that I looked at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I characterized him with adjectives, words to describe. And then I made the word search. Now, when the student goes to the book, they have to find the words. Then they have to do a word chart with the words, the definition, and sentences.
Right.
And this brings Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. alive. Too many of our youngsters have forgotten or don't know who he is.
So anyone really interested in getting involved with this, they can get copies of that.
They can get copies. And all they would have to do is to go to my website, academicresourcesunlimited.org.
All right.
Academicresourcesunlimited.org, or just give me a call.
Give you a call. Okay. I think the two subjects just wonderful, and having you guys on the show here, Dr. Johnson and Dr. Williams, is just a privilege for me to have this information going out on YouTube, going out on the Bowie channel here, going out through Prince George's County, and actually will be going out on YouTube also. But the idea, basically, you have a half a second, Dr. Johnson, tell youngsters how to be successful in their mathematics. That's a half a second.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. The main thing is that students, please be advised that no matter what anybody has told you about learning math, you can learn math. If you would like an example of it, please contact me, and I'll be happy to talk to you and show you that you can learn math.
Hey, now that's it. That's fantastic. And like I said, this is a special show. We'll be doing other series concerning Dr. Johnson and Dr. Williams here concerning English and math. Really, English and math is the basic of education. Once you get those two, there's nothing that you can't conquer. I'll see you next time.